Well, good evening and welcome to Will Henry's workshop. Workshop's kind of a figure of speech today because, quite frankly, there ain't going to be any work happening. Tomorrow we have a club level silhouette shoot, and so I'm going to get ready for that. And I thought prior to that, maybe I'd just do a little show and tell. I started shooting metallic silhouette pretty late in the game. I think I started when I was 68, and that's not ideal. Really, a person's better off taking up shooting offhand when you're young, have good reflexes and so on. But anyway, I started then, and prior to that, most of my competition had been in bench rest, F class, and some prone with a sling, and I enjoy all of those. But the local game was metallic silhouette, so I thought, well, I would give it a try, and encouraged by a couple of friends. So anyway, I did that, and I really enjoy it. And one of the reasons I enjoy it is because it's kind of nice not to have a rifle that's tuned to shoot a quarter minute. I mean, it's the rifle has to shoot reasonably well, but the shooter is a lot bigger part of the equation than in some of the other disciplines, and so that's kind of relaxing to me. And this is especially true with shooting rimfire because, of course, you don't even have to load your own ammunition for that. And generally speaking, I use and most of the people, I think, use SK Standard Plus ammunition, and which is a standard velocity, and it's pretty good ammunition. I think in general most people will say that they notice with it they'll get the occasional flyer, and I also have Lapua Centerx, which shoots about the same, except I don't get as many flyers. But the truth of the matter is the flyers that I get with the SK Standard Plus aren't far enough out to give me a miss. And you know, given the way I shoot, it honestly doesn't make any difference. So, but anyway, I thought I would show the rifles that I'm using. And the first up was, I'll get this here. I started out shooting an old Model 69 Winchester 22, and it shot okay, and it was adequate for the introduction. But then I soon wanted to do a little better, so I bought an old Winchester Model 75, and I shot it in its original factory configuration for a while, and then I decided that I would, well, there was two things. In its original configuration, it was a little heavy. It wouldn't make sporter class weight. And so I decided I would modify it. So I literally whittled this stock out with a chainsaw, and then I rebarreled the old Model 75 with a Gaillard barrel. It was from a fellow that used to make barrels in Saskatchewan, and it's a good rimfire barrel, and I mounted it to the stock with using an aluminum sleeve at the rear of the barrel because I didn't want to cut a dovetail in the barrel, and which is what the factory used, and I wanted to get the level up for the forward scope mount and get it up to the same height as the rear of the receiver. So anyway, that's what I did, and this worked out pretty well. The stock fits me real well. As you can see, I shoot left-handed because I'm a certified GIMP and had to switch over when I was young, and so I have a left-handed stock, and like I say, it fits me well. Everything, it's kind of just within regulation, And the scope on here is an old Weaver KT-10, and here again, I like scopes in the 10 to 15 power range. I've tried shooting with 20 power scopes, and while I can shoot well enough, I had a tendency to crossfire because of the, well, the real reason is because, of course, I wasn't paying attention, but it wasn't helped by the small field of view. And so anyway, that was my first semi-serious 22. And then the next one, I got a CZ or CZ up here in Canada, and varmint, which I used quite a bit, and actually shot fairly well with it. But then after that, I still have that rifle. I just don't use it very often. And in a way, it's very good. It's got a pretty decent trigger, and but it doesn't shoot quite as well as either one of the other 22s. And my last 22 is this. This is a Model 52C Winchester, and I got it from a local guy that wasn't using it anymore, and the fellow he had gotten it from had made some questionable alterations, and so it was a rifle that I was free to do what I wanted with. You know, I wasn't hurting any collector value. So anyway, I turned down the barrel enough that that it had a chance of making hunting rifle weight, which your rimfires, your hunting rifle can weigh a maximum of 8.5 pounds, and all up, and so that's this one weighs 8 pounds 7.5 ounces, so it's pushing the limit. And but anyway, so I turned the barrel down and shortened it to 24 inches to help make the weight. I made this stock from a piece of myrtle wood that I'd had sitting in the basement for years, and it's a fairly plain piece, and the problem with myrtle wood is it's a little on the heavy side, but I was able to cut enough away to get it down to weight. And then it's mounted with a 12 power Leopold, and which with a it's got a 1 minute dot reticle, which works out perfectly for me, and it works pretty well. Now tomorrow I'm strictly shooting small bore. I'm not going to shoot centerfire, but I thought, well, I'd show you what I use for a centerfire rifle as well. And now this is my centerfire rifle. It's a Winchester Model 70. The pink dragonflies are there because my granddaughter thought I should have some decoration on the stock, and so we always go along with granddaughters. And anyway, it's built on a Model 70 Winchester push feed short action. The barrel is a 26-inch barrel. This one is, I believe, it's a Schillen ratchet rifle barrel, and I chambered it in 6.5 Creedmoor, and I like the 6.5s because they have enough bullet weight to always take the rams down, and they're not too uncomfortable to shoot. For there again, initially I was using a pre-war Model 70 that I had barreled in 6.5 by 55, and it had kind of a Frankenstock on it that I'd cobbled together out of a couple of different wood stocks I had, so it's kind of a glue up, and it actually works pretty well, fits me reasonably well. But this one is better. This this is a glass stock from Steve Wooster, and I believe it's Mark Farr's pattern, but it fits me really well, and it's comfortable to shoot. Now the 6.5 or the pardon me, the hunter rifle class in Centerfire, you're allowed 9 pounds, and this is well below that, and the scope on this one is a Weaver KT-15. Now, the only problem with the KT-15 is that the tube is fairly short, and the objective bell is kind of long, so that I had to mount it on a modified ring, and where I could only use half of the top of it, and but it worked out all right. And this rifle shoots well. It shoots a pretty honest half minute, so you know, you can't complain about that. And sadly, the rifle shoots considerably better than I do. Now, all of these rifles, since I made them to be eligible for the hunter class, all of them have triggers. The triggers have to be at least 2 pounds. Mine are generally around 2 1/4 or 2 pounds 2 ounces, somewhere in there. And the Model 75 trigger is it's an okay trigger, but it's a very rudimentary trigger. It's a direct connection trigger. Whereas the Model 52 has an overriding sear and is a little more adjustable. And of course the Model 70, you know, everybody's aware of what their triggers are like. They're easy to work on, and it was easy to set this trigger up for 2 1/4 pounds. I use this same action with a different barrel in a different stock to shoot bench rest, hunter bench, and in that discipline, I was able to set the trigger down to about 14 ounces, and it worked out pretty good. And there again, I did that just kind of to see what I could do with a Model 70, and actually it did pretty well. But the stock and the barrel now languish in the back because I haven't used them for a long time. Anyway, so that's that. Now this that stock that I'd mentioned from Steve Wooster, the glass stock, it fits so well that I kind of tried to copy it when I made the Myrtlewood stock for the Model 52, and so a lot of the dimensions are about the same. You know, the hand grip's about the same, the distance to the trigger is very similar. So those two rifles, they're kind of my primary rifles. But anyway, that's that. So tomorrow, like I say, we'll have a club level shoot where typically I'll do fairly well in the first match, and then I'll go downhill from there because I get tired, and that's just the way it is. And for Centerfire, like I say, I'm not going to shoot Centerfire this weekend, but I'll start practicing with the Centerfire leading up to, in 2 weeks, we have the British Columbia Provincials, and so I'll start practicing with the Centerfire leading up to that, and my hope is to peak just for that weekend. Now, sadly, my peak is more like a hump, so it's not that impressive, but still, that's what we're aiming for. And anyway, that's that, and so I'm going to put put the two rimfires in their cases and take my box ammunition. Like I say, the one reason that I like the Silhouette is that I can get away with very little gear. You know, the rifles, the ammunition. I have an Everlast timer that I hardly ever use. In fact, I almost never use it in rimfire, but I'll use it in Centerfire for some reason. While it's easy to get away, 5 shots in in the allotted time in rimfire, it's difficult in centerfire, and I haven't figured out why. But so for centerfire, I quite often have to use the timer, otherwise I'll run out of time. And now there's a lot of aspects of shooting silhouette that have nothing to do with the rifles and everything to do with the shooter, and but I'm not going to get too much into that because, well, I don't consider myself an expert on it, because if I was, I'd shoot a heck of a lot better than I do. Anyway, that's it, and so I'm going to load these up and shoot tomorrow, and not I won't tomorrow's match, but perhaps later on I'll take the camera to one of the matches and give you a look, see it, and maybe film some of the guys that actually hit the damn targets. So anyway, so for now, good night. This is Will Henry.